Welcome everyone to the Liverpool Daily News. I'm your host David Comerford and I'm joined by Emmett Gates to discuss some of today's transfer stories. And as usual, we're going to start by talking about a couple of midfielders. And the first of those is Adrien Rabiot from Juventus, who actually scored last night and then I believe gave away a penalty in the Europa League quarter-final second leg against Sporting. Juventus still low going through. But he has been linked with Liverpool once again. It seems to be a bit of a recurring one. As our sort of resident Serie A expert, what can you sort of tell us about him and obviously more specifically his suitability for this Liverpool team?
Yeah, it's an odd one with Rabiot, isn't it? Because he's been linked with Liverpool, for about a year, I would say. And it's always one of those where his name crops up for like a month and then fades into the background for 3 or 4 months. And then his name comes to the fore again for like a month, and then he goes back into the pile. But nothing ever really happens. But yeah, to be honest, if we had been having this conversation a year ago, I would have been one of Rabiot's harshest critics. This is his fourth year at Juventus, and up until this season, I didn't know what his best attribute was. He's not slow, but he's not fast. He's technically good, but he's not brilliant. But this season, I don't know, things have. Maybe it's because Juve just are a shadow of the side that they were 4 or 5 years ago, but things have really clicked in now, and Rabiot was almost turned into a bit of a leader for Max Allegri in midfield. And he's starting to score plenty of goals now from midfield, which he scored more this year than he had in his 3 previous seasons combined. But he's very good at protecting the ball. He's good at shielding the ball, making sure his opponents don't get it. As again, like I said, he's not fast, nor is he slow. He seems to be getting more into the correct positions. And he scored a goal last night. I mean, it was just a corner, came in, the ball was knocked down, a bit of a scuffle in the middle of the box, and he just kind of was the first to react and put it away. And then, like 15 minutes later, he conceded a penalty. Who knows that can happen? But in terms of if he's suitable for Liverpool, I really don't see it. I don't know what you'd maybe see. Max Allegri at the minute is playing a 3-5-1-1. So he's in that three. There's three central midfielders, and Rabiot was kind of in the middle of it, or off to the right hand side. I don't know how he would perform in a 4-3-3. To be honest, he did play in that position when Maurizio Sarri was at Juve for his one season. Don't see.
I think we lost you there for a second. Emmett, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Is it?
Yeah.
Is it?
We lost you for about 20 seconds or so there.
Okay.
We lost you just after you talked about Maurizio Sarri and the when he was playing in the 4-3-3.
Are we okay?
I think we've just about got you back now.
I don't know what's going on. Hold on a second.
So yeah, Sarri in the 4-3-3. Well, obviously we are experiencing some technical difficulties on this one.
Hello?
Yeah, we've got you back again. We're getting you back. We're getting you back in brief
internet signals there, so maybe this will work all right.
3-second increments, and then you freeze again. So it's we're flying close to the sun a little bit on this one. So
I said again, Dave, I lost you there.
We're in the trenches a little bit on this one, Emmett. One thing to say about Rabiot, is, and that I should have said in the intro, was that he's out of contract in the summer, which is probably a big reason why he's appealing to Liverpool, in fairness. Like you say, a player who has been inconsistent, but the fact that, he's available for nothing is probably why he's on Liverpool's radar, for being honest. I mean, we've seen Liverpool are trying to sort of capitalize on kind of similar contract situations. They wanted Konrad Laimer before he left, before he decided he was going to join Bayern Munich from Leipzig instead. And obviously Mason Mount is someone who's into or approaching the final year of his contract at Chelsea. So again, almost a bit of a driving force on that one. So yeah, crucially, Rabiot is out of contract. And also last year, he was on the verge of joining Manchester United. Actually, Man United, as far as I remember, agreed a fee with Juventus, but they couldn't actually hash out personal terms with Rabiot in the end. And one concern I do have about him is his disciplinary record. And I don't know if this is something that has sort of eased a little bit over the years, but certainly his time at PSG was sort of fraught with disciplinary problems. There was I think there was a suspension that he received after a Champions League game. I think it was the Champions League game against Manchester United when they got knocked out. I think it was 3-1, the game ended. And obviously PSG on the end of an upset there. And then Rabiot actually went out clubbing afterwards. Obviously the club didn't look too positively on that one. And he picked up a suspension for that. And also, as Kazi says in the comments here, his mum/agent got involved quite a lot. And you remember Klopp's made certain comments about agents who maybe have a little bit too much to say for his liking in the press. So again, a little bit of a concern on that one. And we have now lost them, but thankfully I'll be able to carry us through. So yeah, on Rabiot as well, he was in the France squad for the 2018 World Cup. But then essentially Didier Deschamps had him on the standby list, and basically Rabiot decided he didn't want to be on the standby list. That wasn't going to be an acceptable arrangement for him, and then he just sort of backed out of it. So again, has he sort of matured beyond those problems, or is that going to be a recurring theme? We've got Mr. MH in the comments saying under Klopp his discipline would be enforced. And you could argue that's the case. You trust Klopp to certainly do that, but other managers have tried, Thomas Tuchel being one of them, certainly at PSG. So some alarm bells may be ringing there, and obviously Liverpool do place a lot of emphasis, or have placed a lot of emphasis on characters in their recruitment, so maybe not the best one from that point of view. But a couple of other midfielders obviously have been linked. One of those is Ryan Gravenberch, and he's obviously unhappy at Bayern Munich at the moment, and Marco van Basten, the Dutch legend, has been talking about his future from obviously the standpoint of his compatriot. And he's actually kind of raised concerns about the prospect of Gravenberch joining Liverpool. And I'll try and get the actual quote up for you here. So he said, "Go somewhere where you play. If you're not of any added value, or if you have doubts, then you should not go." So obviously the implication there is if he goes to Liverpool, he's going to end up in the same situation he is at Bayern, where he's only started one Bundesliga game, I think 2 Champions League games as well. I personally don't think that would be the case. I think the fact that Liverpool are pushing to get Gravenberch in is a sign that they do kind of value him, and obviously their whole pitch to him would be enforced around playing more football. And you sort of look at the midfield situations. I mean, Gravenberch probably someone who's kind of coming in. I suppose it's difficult to see what role he plays with sort of Trent moving into midfield, but probably the sort of Henderson position. And you've got obviously Henderson aging, and it's a midfield that is almost aging, or sort of inexperienced at the other end of the scale. Whilst he is a young player, he does have, he has sort of had those years behind him at Ajax, and he'd probably be of the level required to sort of fit in quite high within the pecking order, you'd have to say. So I think that maybe he wouldn't necessarily be a starter every week, and Liverpool fans maybe a little bit reticent to give him that role, based on the fact that they haven't seen much of him at Bayern. But he could certainly play more of a squad role than he has at Bayern, especially with the fact that, you look how well stocked they are in midfield already. That's why he's barely played. And then you've got Konrad Laimer coming in at the end of the season too, which is obviously going to make it even more difficult for him to get minutes too, which is probably going to be a consideration on that one. And then one final story to wrap up from today is to do with Roberto Firmino, so potential Liverpool outgoing, or a confirmed one, I should say. And he has apparently reached an agreement to join Galatasaray. And we've seen Firmino linked with clubs in the US and Major League Soccer as well. Major League Soccer and Saudi Arabia, I should say. But the problem, I think, with these stories is he's got much more to give at the sort of highest level. We've seen him score a couple of big goals recently. Whilst his fitness record isn't what it used to be, and certainly he's not, he's past his peak and he's down the pecking order a little bit at Liverpool. He's better served, I think, going to sort of a Champions League level club, or while Galatasaray, might be in European competition themselves, can they sort of seriously kind of compete at that level? I think Firmino should be going somewhere where he can challenge for sort of prestigious honours. And, look, I'm sure, he'll get a really good contract at Galatasaray if he goes to Saudi Arabia, even the MLS. And if that's what motivates him at this stage of his career, then that's fair enough. He's achieved so much Liverpool already. But just from the kind of football loving standpoint, there's been links with teams like Inter Milan, for example, teams in Italy. There's even been talk about sort of Barcelona and that. If he can go somewhere, like Kazi says there, that for me, I'll be going to a team in the top 5 leagues. I did as well. And hopefully he can find an opening at kind of one of the better sides there, because he certainly still is at the level to play. And maybe after he's finished the contract with that team, then maybe that's when he ends up joining, sort of moving away from Europe and almost settling a little bit for the rest of his career. So we'll see how it unfolds on that one. But yeah, that'll be it for the morning stream. Apologies for the technical difficulty that we had, which caused us to lose Emmett about midway through. But hopefully I managed to steady the ship enough. And yeah, we'll be back next week at the same time for another of our streams. So yeah, we'll see you then.